SEC stuff. I'm Sierra alongside Chizzy, and the Florida Gators have fallen to the LSU Tigers 20-10. Crazy game in Baton Rouge, as it always is. Chizzy is our resident LSU fan. I, of course, unfortunately am a Gator fan, as you can see at the back. Chizzy, what did you like from your LSU Tigers in this game?
Okay, the things that I liked, the defense. I love Coach Baker. He was at Mizzou previously. I just love the way he is just like he's such a playmaker. Like he just gets into it and also like the way he just treats his players like family. I've heard from former Mizzou players that he's just an amazing coach. So you can even tell with the losses that we had on defense, a lot of veteran players, like he still was able to coach up these guys and make a lot of plays on your Florida Gators. I'm so sorry. So yeah, that was my biggest takeaway because 5 interceptions. I'm sorry, Sierra. I'm sorry. Sierra, is there anything that you liked from your Florida team?
5 interceptions is extremely impressive, and Florida was still able to only lose by 10 points. I don't know how they managed to do that with 5 interceptions, one of them being a pick six. Absolutely crazy. When it comes to Florida's offense, of course, they're going up against a tough LSU defense led by Blake Baker. And there was questions in the past on how well is this LSU defense, because that has been their weakness within the past few years. They clearly have caught up right now. And now this Florida team, it's like, okay, how well is our offense going to go against this LSU defense? Didn't go well. DJ Lagway throwing 5 interceptions. And I think a lot of that's just like the chemistry, right, that isn't there yet quite with his receivers. And also he's playing like a guy that just hasn't played a lot of football, honestly. We know he's only a sophomore, a true sophomore at that. So he's about 19 years old. And I'm not giving excuses at all, because when you sign up to play for the University of Florida, no matter what age, no matter what position, you need to understand that, hey, I'm going to be playing and I need to know the plays like the back of my hand. These are my brothers. I need to know everything about them and where they're going to be on the field. Especially as a quarterback, you are the leader of that team outside of Billy Napier, who doesn't really seem like the best leader right now. So I think that this Florida team, they're very young, but Lagway, he was hurt during spring practice. He was hurt during fall camp, and he's playing like someone that has missed a lot of football. But again, there's really no excuse for that. And also Florida, I was very confused on the play calling. I was confused on why Florida did not utilize Jaden Ball as much, who is one of their star running backs, ran for over 100 yards or ran for over 90 yards last week. And Florida needs to just utilize him more. He had an 87-yard rushing touchdown, but then it was called back. So it was like, okay, the discipline issues still aren't fixed, because last week that was a huge killer with the spitting penalty, with pass interference calls, touchdowns that were called back because of lack of discipline. And it's still happening. And at this point, Gator fans are extremely fed up. They are like, we're sick of this. We are not, no offense, Northwest Florida State College, wherever, where you can win 4 games and everyone's like, woohoo! Florida is in the SEC. They have won national titles in this millennium. They have made it to New Year's Six Bowls. They have made it to SEC championship games. Basketball just won a national championship. Every program, every sport at this school is expected to win a national title, and Florida football is far behind at that point. And Gator fans are fed up with it. They want Billy gone, but they want Billy Napier gone yesterday.
Yeah, I think what you said was so interesting is the penalties. The fact that that's what hurt them last week, and the touchdown, I was literally at the edge of my seat. I was so nervous because you guys are playing great defense. I was scared. I was scared for my life, I won't lie. And seeing that yellow pop up on my screen, I was so happy because I felt like once if Florida had that stand, the touchdown, I really think it would have gave more momentum to the game. But the fact that it was because of a holding penalty, and I don't know if you heard what Billy said out of that. He was just kind of like, yeah, like everyone's playing very intense and we'll just fix it. It was just too chill. Like it wasn't like we need to get our act together and this can't happen. It was just kind of like the cool dad of like, yeah, that was a mistake. We're gonna keep going. I was like, what? What are we doing?
That's what Gator fans are absolutely sick of. They're sick of the, oh, yeah, I mean, we're a team. The classic coach speak. It's coach speak Billy. That's what he does every single week. And I'm sick of it. We saw Brian Kelly crash out on a reporter. It was a bit uncalled for. We'll touch on that in a bit. But at least Brian Kelly knows how to chew you a new butthole. Can I say that? I don't know. At least Brian Kelly can chew you out and scare you and then make you better. So that's what stresses me out. And what's also frustrating is that Florida controlled the possession. They had the ball for 37 minutes and 46 seconds compared to LSU 22 minutes and 14 seconds, but they could not finish those drives. In the red zone, they couldn't finish it. It was just extremely frustrating to see.
Yeah, and Lagway throwing for 287 yards, whereas Nesmar was throwing for 220 yards. Like, even on the LSU side, the offense just looked so off. Like, until the second half, that's when it was like more of like, okay, we can relax a little bit. But the first half, I don't know what in the world. I don't know. It's because Garrett done signed with Nike. He just thinks like he's chilling. I was just very confused. I was like, this is not a Heisman level quarterback right now. It was just inaccurate throws. I was just very like the offense just didn't look like it clicked. And Florida really had it going in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I was scared. But for some reason, it was just like Florida, you guys performed pretty well against being in Death Valley, but just couldn't complete the job.
Absolutely. And LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier was 15 of 27 for 220 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And the offense punted 7 times, only had 96 rushing yards, which is crazy. And it was most of it was a 51-yard touchdown from Caden Durham. And I'm like, what in the heck? So naturally, as journalists, we ask questions. And this is what one of the journalists at the LSU post-game presser, he asked him about the offense basically and why it wasn't clicking and whatnot. And Brian Kelly was like, LSU won the football game, won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy? These are ridiculous questions. I'm getting sick of it. The football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong? Give them some respect. How about that? Instead of micro-analyzing every single thing. That's a snippet of the quote that he said to a reporter at the post-game presser. Chizzy, what are your thoughts on that?
You're not wrong. But at the same time, it's like if our defense wasn't doing outstanding, and you see the score, it was 20-10. It wasn't like it was something miraculous. Like if the defense didn't come through, I don't know what would have happened. And like I said before, the offense was just looking completely off. Nussmeier was not looking like a Heisman level potential that everyone keeps saying. And it was just very confusing to see. Like, I think everyone was kind of just like, I guess this is what we got. And that's the 3rd and long. Oh my goodness, don't get me started. And the fact the opening drive, it was just a third like shutout. I was just like, what is actually going on? So I do agree, like sometimes as journalists, a lot of times it's very much so what went wrong, but at the same time it's real. Like, what are you going to do? Like, this was what our second big matchup, but we saw how Clemson just fell from Georgia Tech, so it's like, was that really a matchup, so I'm kind of like not really on Kelly's side right now, because we need to get this offense together if we're going to compete for a playoff and potentially a championship. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And I think the question from the reporter was absolutely valid. And for Brian Kelly to berate him like that was really weird to see, to be quite honest, because it's a valid question. Also, Brian Kelly, you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars of years to answer questions like this. Like, can you calm down for a second? Because that was a bit ridiculous, but it's valid. And this LSU team, I have them ranked still pretty high in the SEC. I had them heading into this game number 1 team in the conference after this past weekend's performance. They pulled out the win, but I'm still not quite sure on how I feel about this LSU team quite yet, because there are other teams that have really showed that spark offensively, like Oklahoma or Georgia and Tennessee. And so the SEC at the top is very competitive, like it always is. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about this LSU team quite yet. We saw their offense looked stagnant really against this Florida team that has not been that great. Now, Florida's defense is better than their offense, but still, the fact that Florida only lost by only 10 points is crazy. And last week against Louisiana Tech, LSU didn't look great, which is like, okay, you could not look like crap against Louisiana Tech, respectively. And now next week they play Southeast Louisiana, and that's a game that they've got to win. They can't, play with their food and whatnot, but there are other teams in the SEC that are making further strides ahead. So I'm very curious to see how this LSU offense continues. Maybe it's still fairly early, so they're not sure where they're going to be, but my thoughts on this LSU team have changed after this past weekend's game. And I'm not sure if I see them in the SEC championship anymore. I know it's still very early, but I'm not quite sure.
100%. And like what you said, if you watch Georgia Tennessee, now that was a game. And I don't think, as LSU fan myself, so LSU people don't attack me, I don't think LSU offensively could have competed with either one of those teams. Respectfully, because the offense just looked completely off. I don't know what we have to do. We got to change something, because our O-line was actually doing pretty well. I don't know if Nuss was just off. I don't know what it was. And then you also saw a lot of confusion from like the players. Like Nuss would call a play and they were just like not in the right positions, the right spots. It was just an off. I don't know. They got saved by God. I'm not going to lie, because I don't know what in the world and how we won this game. I mean, the defense, but
DJ Lagway throwing it to the other team. Maybe he's colorblind. I can't tell. Maybe he thought the purple and gold jerseys were orange and blue.
100%. And with DJ, so I asked another Gator fan this. Is DJ the problem? Or is it not DJ? Because I feel like everyone keeps writing him off now. Because five is a hefty number. I won't, in one game it's hefty. But is it really on DJ or is it on Billy?
I think it's a little bit of both, because we see Billy Napier's lack of passion sometimes that fans get on him about. Now, that's kind of nitpicky in my opinion, but there are things that constantly add up, or the lack of discipline, which is like really frustrating because the penalties, this should not be a problem, or the fact that he didn't take him out the game. 5 interceptions, that's crazy. And it's like, okay, maybe we need to put the backup in because whatever's going on isn't clicking. And I think a lot of that has to do with this NIL era we're in, which I am all for players getting paid. Don't assume the other option. But I do believe, because players are getting paid, in DJ Lagway's case, allegedly about over $1 million, coaches are more hesitant, I feel, to take them out of the game, because they're like, oh, well, he's getting paid all this money. All the boosters are riding the coattails for him. He's getting paid all this money. We have to keep him in the game because I'm not going to put in a backup who, mind you, is still recruited to play at the University of Florida. Like, Florida doesn't just recruit scrubs as their backups, but the starter is getting paid. So it's like, we have to pay him, but then the starter's not working out right now. So what do you do as a head coach? You need to, I don't know why he kept him in the game that long, because 5 interceptions. I can't think of the last time I saw a game where a player threw 5 interceptions. I don't even think if I played football, I could throw 5 interceptions. So I don't understand, but I did see a tweet by a former Gator football player, and he was quoting something from he was quoting a quote from another Gator reporter that said a quote from Billy Napier that was like, whatever DJ Lagway's performance, it isn't indicative of who he is as a teammate or as a player. That's what one of the Florida reporters said. But then one of the former Gators, he deleted the tweet now, so I'm not going to say his name, but one of the former Gator players quote tweeted it and said, tell him to tell the truth, him meaning Billy Napier. Tell him to tell the truth. Half the players don't like him because they think he gets special treatment versus the rest of the squad, and that's not just a rumor. So if that is true, that is really interesting, because it's like, has he lost the locker room? Maybe that's why. We don't know.
Yeah, and that's very key, because then it's like you could also just visibly see DJ on the sideline just mentally just out of it, which I don't blame you. You're playing Death Valley and like you're not doing so hot. But I feel like it's a very interesting take, because I feel like, not that I didn't see a lot of teammates doing the same thing to him, but it just was kind of like coach was like being like, coaching him up. It wasn't really any other players. That's very speculation, we know.
No,
but
I noticed that too.
But it was just kind of like, why aren't your boys, your brothers, kind of being like, you know what, you got this? Like, I feel like it's probably like a frustration, an ongoing frustration, um, through all the offensive players right now.
Yeah, and it was very frustrating if that quote is true, because I don't know if you saw the SEC Every Given Saturday series on Netflix, but as a Gator, I got very emotional watching that show because it was like, wow, we're finally back. We're finally back where we need to be. And it was, I can't remember after which game it was, but they were all in the locker room celebrating. It might have been after Florida beat LSU last year in Gainesville. And they were in the locker room and they were so happy and they were chanting DJ's name in the locker room and everyone was so hyped up. And it was like, this is so great to see. And then I'm like, okay, we have a great season ahead of us. Like Florida's back in the promised land where they're supposed to be. And then now to see this, and then to allegedly see this tweet that says he allegedly doesn't have the greatest chemistry with the locker room anymore, this just truly breaks my heart because I'm like, no matter how much money people are getting paid, and this is what I worried when NIL became legal. It's like, is there going to be beef between players because someone's getting paid more than the other? And is a certain player going to think they're better and that they're more important because they're getting paid more? I hope that's not the case, but I'm sure that is the case in plenty of college football programs across the country right now.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything that you just said.
Yeah.
Whew. So what do you think Florida does from this? How do your Gators regroup and come up on top?
This sounds so bad, but I just hope they lose so we can fire Billy quicker so we can get that coaching search started because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It just puts me in a bad mood. But Florida plays at Miami next week, and College Game Day is going to be there. Don't know why. Maybe College Game Day wanted a vacation in Miami because there are other games they could have gone to. Don't know why they picked that one because, Miami just beat USF, who Florida lost to. And we're like, oh, maybe USF is really good and they're the sneaky group of 5 team to watch this year and make it to the college football play. No, Miami beat the crap out of them. Florida just stinks. So I don't know. Fix the penalties, maybe. Don't throw the ball to the other team. Start with that and rely on Jaden Ball, your star running back.
Yeah.
That's what Florida needs to do more because whatever DJ Lagway is doing, it's not clicking. And I think Florida just needs to rely on their run game more to answer your question.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let us know your thoughts on the game, and the games are coming up this week.